make it down to Georgetown and then go back. You could do that from down there.
Good day, guys, and welcome to this impromptu program. In the studio today, we have Mr. Freddie Kissoon, none other than the great Freddie Kissoon himself, and my friend Leonard Gildarie. No need for no fancy introduction. Basically, I'm here to tell you guys, Freddie Kissoon and Leonard Gildarie is coming to TBN Productions. They will be broadcasting the Freddie Kissoon Leonard Gildarie program on the Guyanese Critic Live. So you could expect, a hot, spicy program in the evening. Somewhere between 8:30 and 9 o'clock on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But since we done we're giving you a piece of the action, what's it's going to be like, right? And for those of you who've only known Freddie Kissoon from his articles, remember, Freddie writes a column in Kaicho News, and he's been writing that for a number of years now. And it is structured. There's an editor who looks at the things after to make sure he doesn't get himself in any problems with libel and these kind of things, right? But, the Guyanese Critic program is one where you're unleashed. And I've always wanted Freddie to give his analysis because Freddie comes with real history, real experience, and professionalism second to none. Mr. Kissoon, thank you for this opportunity. It's an honor to have you here in my studio. I could tell you, since I set up this studio, I've never had anybody that I feel that gonna make the green paint come out of this wall up in this studio. I know some action will go down here today. Gildarie, thanks for being here too, brother. What we can expect from you guys on the Leonard Gildarie and Freddie Kissoon show?
Well, first, let me tell your viewers and listeners something that I don't think they know. I guess I have known you longer than the people you now interact with in social media. They probably just know you 3-4 years ago. Yeah. But we know each other long. We used to line on the seawall.
Yeah.
I used to patronize you with your juice. About the program. This is going to take a long time to explain about the program, so please bear up with me. I can't bring myself, I don't know why. I don't know what's the psychological explanation, but I think I know the explanation. I think because I've known you so long before you ever dream of becoming Guyanese critic, I could only instinctively call you Mikhail.
No problem.
No, I can't get it saying Guyanese critic. Maybe Gildarie will say, but critic. But I've always known you as Mikhail, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm mentally comfortable.
No problem.
So, first things first, I have known you a long time, and it's unfortunate what you said to me just now. Though those wires were crossed, and maybe it's a good thing they're being entangled now. I apologize most profusely for the times that you asked me to be on your program. It so happened I couldn't make it those times. But because I know you and because I know your personality, you work at Kaicho, I have a positive opinion of you. It was up to you to have called me and say, Freddie, come down, come be in my program. Now that you told me that you were a little bit peeved that I didn't grace your program, I think there were some cross wires there, and you have a blank check from me. Right. Now, what the program is about. The analysis that will flow here is going to take some time, so I have to stop and let Gildarie come in. I have been alarmed, Mikhail, extremely alarmed at the shape of Guyanese society, the virtual, literal shape of the sociology, psychology, and political mentality of this country after 2020. And the shape is something I've spent all my life in politics, Mikhail, since I was 16. I taught at UG for 26 years. I'm now 34 years in the media. And what came out from March 2020 I never envisaged that. I was in the streets protesting with people, got arrested for people, for the love of this country, for the love of political unity, for the love of the working class. And when I saw that great betrayal after 2020, I said, no, something is going wrong with this country. And some of us from the 70s and 80s have to intervene. And so there was a certain direction my columns went into. To make a long story short, I think we have emerging here a vicious class and ethnic assault on power, on the right to have elections, and a rejection of those people who win free and fair election. For me, the other side of that coin is a return to Burnhamism. And Mikhail, you are too young, maybe Gildarie, you are much too young to experience what Guyana went through when we could not vote to change a government. That government was permanent. That government had no accountability to anyone. That government did any and everything it wanted. And to think, Mikhail, that we've had 30-something years of that. And when that was being attempted again, the attempt to install a permanent dispensation with permanent rulers doing things permanently, you have a large section of this society rejecting that because who won the election? A set of Indian people. A party called the PPP that should never have come back. I don't know, Mikhail, who should come back and who should not come back. I believe people have a right to elect who they want. They chose Boris Johnson. They chose Trudeau. They chose Macron. They voted twice. And the opposition didn't win a seat in Barbados. And that is how modern life should be. People vote for who they want to. Mikhail, you may very well go into politics the next 5 years. People are going to say, oh God, suppose you become a minister. It's not for me and Gildarie and Guyana to determine that. It's for people to vote for Mikhail Rodriguez if they want. When he gets in and he does nonsense, he will hear from us. But let the free ballot go. My main concern is that I'm seeing high middle class society in this country creepingly involved in a conspiracy that perpetuates the problem that these very people say is the problem that they want to solve. Civil society, the Portuguese mulatto class, Starbuck News. You're seeing even the Catholic Church. Mikhail, when the Catholic Church teamed up with Lincoln Lewis to form an organization to make sure that the government implements the Constitution, I literally dropped dead. When the election was going on, Mr. Lewis called on the president to cancel the elections. Cancel it. He said, this is nonsense. Do away with this election. You must manage GCOM. And our right to vote, if President Granger had listened to Lewis, our right to vote was dead. And I saw the Catholic bishop teaming up with him now to form a civil society group. We're going in a terrible direction. And this program with Gildarie and I, and you come in whenever you want, is to fill those gaps and present to people the basis of knowledge that they should know about their country's existence, and the present dilemma of their country, but most of all, who are perpetuating those dilemmas. I think I've said enough.
Whoa, powerful. Gildarie.
I don't know. Freddie talks a lot, huh? And here's Chris Katz for the folks who are watching us today. I want to say good afternoon to you. It's been a little while. I wasn't expecting this, but when Freddie calls and then with the critic, here's Chris Katz for you guys. What's the commonalities between Freddie Kissoon and the Guyanese critic? Bad hair day. A poor joke. But we are at a crossroad in Guyana right now, and there's so many things that's happening. I'm not too happy. I retired last year out of Kitesurf News, gentlemen, and I had no intention to go back into mainstream media. That's not something that I am comfortable with at this time. But the enticement of coming back, I like to comment on things that are of current issues in Guyana. I like to see I like to talk about the rule of law. I like to talk about things that affect people, systems and procedures, regulatory bodies, and so on. These are things that get me very angry. That when our regulators and so on don't adhere to the rules, or for some reason they bypass those rules for some reason, whether it's a bribe or something that's being taken. Freddie and I started talking about a couple months back, and the possibility of me coming back. And I said, Freddie, that is something in the past. I'm in business right now, but I have seen sitting on the sidelines there in business, where I am at the moment, seen a lot of things that are not so right. I do believe that our country remains divided in a lot of ways. We can't really say that we should be happy about it. We have on one side of the coin 218,000 persons voted for the opposition, a major chunk of the population. And when are they being represented enough? Is the opposition doing the job that they're supposed to be doing? Is the government doing the job? What you need on the table is some very serious discussions, because we're talking oil here. We're talking about a lot of opportunities. We're talking about issues that has to do with people's pension. We're talking about the NIS, the viability long term. We're talking about the police place and what they're supposed to be doing, the use of the army, the role of the army, all those kind of things. It is for me at this age where I'm at. I want to make an input into this country, and Freddie has a lot of institutional knowledge. I know you. Why Guyanese critic? People might be asking. Critic, whether we like it or not, whether you like the guy or not, has a major reach, probably the biggest reach in Guyana, and that's something I want to capitalize. It would be a very stupid person not to understand the impact or the advantages of using that kind of platform. The program that we're going to be doing is the Gildarie, Freddie show, and this is in no way affiliated to any political party. I'm not part of any political party. I'm not part of any groupings. I am strictly a Guyanese, and that is what I want to talk about. Well, how could I bring up my kids? How could somebody else's kids in Guyana? How could they grow up in an atmosphere, in a situation where everybody has the same equal footing, whether you're in business, whatever it is that you're doing, that the laws work, the labor laws work. And recently we saw that RAM scenario, where a Trinidad company here was being accused of coming in through the back door. It has raised a lot of worrying situation there, and those are things that we have to discuss if you want to make this country better. When we talking about a Dubai country, what are you talking? What is a first world country? What could we expect as a people? What should our government be doing? Is outreaches enough? Is Irfan Ali doing a wonderful job as a president? What should the opposition leader do? These are the kind of analysis, the kind of discussions that we should be having. I'm not saying it out there. And when Freddie come and say, I said, man, Freddie's institutional Gildarie. I've worked my way through the ranks. I barely finished high school, my brother. But my knowledge of the affairs of Guyana would have been through on the streets, knowledge, experiences, and I've had some serious experiences. And I could stand as a Guyanese and say, I could be able to talk about those experiences. I talk to my kids about it. I talk to my friends, my staffers about some of the things I go through, and I could speak on some authority in that. And I think we could be in a better way if we could have these kind of conversations. It's not about all about having the likes and the followings, or so. It's about having the serious discussion to take the level of our standards from here to the next place. And how do we do that? It's by bringing in the people who know or we think would know and have that. I'm going to say to the critic, it's not all about the likes again, but critic has a platform and Freddie has institutional knowledge. Why not? Let's take it from there. If you got to bring in every day somebody else who's an expert on whatever it is that they're an expert in, we're going to bring them in. We're going to have those discussions, whether it's from the opposition, whether it's from the government. We should be able to call a spade a spade. Do we have that kind of discussion going on now? Those are the kind of things that I want to see. And if this is a platform that we're going to use it, and I want to make it very clear, my brother, I like you a lot. I like Freddie as well. When it comes to my country, I'm very serious with it. You have a big platform. I want to make use of it, and that's why we're here. So you're gonna see, we're not gonna hold back punches. We're gonna be very respectful. This is not a laugh story here. This is a very serious. We expect and intend for such a forum to continue on for a little while, and we are going to be talking about things that is going to lift our people to the next level.
So, guys, you heard it. You heard a bit of the mild, a lot from the wild, and the Freddie and Gildarie show is going to be giving you, in lifetime, most likely these guys are going to be discussing current affairs. But I want to give you a little bit. I want to give you a little sense. Freddie told you just now why he's here, why he's even doing this, what this program is about. This is the gist of it. But to get a sense of what you can get out of Freddie, right? I know what you could get out of Freddie. I've read Freddie's column. And as Freddie just said, he knows me for quite some time now. And we sit down and even before elections and things, before 2015 elections, so we'd sit down and we'd have discussions, and I would discuss whether I think the government is going to make it, whether I think they were overselling at the time. And I was campaigning for APNU at the time, but still being very reserved about what I was seeing and what they were saying. So we can go straight into it and you get a taste of Freddie's analysis and things. Quinton Bacchus protests that turned into looting and pillaging of the East Coast corridor, destruction of people on the East Coast at Maripo Market and so on, their property. Is that something you've ever seen before, Mr. Kissoon? The reason I'm asking the question.
The word before is mild. I have seen that so often whenever there's election time and the loser refuses to concede. But the worst manifestation of that was Buxton from 2002 to 2006. That's 20 years ago. You were pretty young then to know what was going on in Buxton. After Buxton, Mikhail, I could not believe we would have September in Cotton and June in Monrepo. This thing about the attack on Indians, it's very complex to understand. One, it's a psychological theory that have been forced down the throats of people who feel that Africans are entitled because they came to this country as slaves. If you examine most of the emanations, the theoretical, the political, the sociological adumbrations of African leaders from the PNC, from the AFC, from ACDA, it's we came here as slaves, we worked this country, we made it into something from mud and from sugar plantations. And it is natural for us to have this entitlement to the country. And I think that theory has evolved into the minds of African leaders who are opposed to other parties. And it becomes natural. And what they have done, they have perpetuated this in middle-class society. I don't think so much of ordinary people. Ordinary people accept that. But if there are alternative forces that could talk to the ordinary masses, it will come, they will have a different results. This thing about entitlement is perpetuated by the middle class. Now, one of the reasons I felt we should form the Gildarie Freddie show is because, Mikhail, some unthinkable things are going on in this country. And it is so subtle that you need analysts to point it out to the Guyanese people. I'll give you some example with you, Mikhail Rodriguez, as the subject and the object. I read the Guyana Press Association said, but why are policymakers going on this man's program? This man is not mainstream journalism. This man is social media. And so the Guyana Press Association condemned the government for being in your presence. The very Guyana Press Association and the very people who talk about social media went on social media with David Hines. I wrote in my column, if you compare your output to David Hines, one is rhetoric and hype and emotional output. The other is dangerous incitement. David Hines incites people along ethnic lines. A respected businessman, like Stanley Ming, former Speaker of the National Assembly, Ralph Karan, Christopher Ram have appeared in David Hines' program often. And you pick up the papers and you hear the Guyana Press Association talking about why are they with critic. That's one example I'm giving you of how a dangerous conspiracy is emerging. You know what people cannot believe and would not believe in this society because they're not getting the analysis is the role of Starbuck News. Now, I've been deluged with emails. But Freddie, isn't Kaicho News anti-government too? And I said to them, it's a different type of exposure to the government. One is Glenn Lyle doing his thing and yeah. The other Starbuck News is a serious class conspiracy. Class conspiracy. Now, look at these things that are emerging in society, and therefore you need the Freddie Gildarie show. The Starbuck News said that the government should keep a man as the head of the EPA. His name is Dr. Vincent Adams. This man is an executive, one of the leaders of the AFC. So they say the man must be kept. No way in the world you have a man in a sensitive state institution and he is a leader of the opposition. That is a contradiction in terms. That's like saying, let's go and drive a car. Never mind, it doesn't have gas. You don't take an opposition leader and put him at the head of a very sensitive state sector institution. So the Starbuck News did seven editorial saying this man should remain in the ERP. The very newspaper said the National Resource Fund should not have any member from the private sector sitting on the board because the private sector is close to the government. So they must put an opposition man at the head of the environmental protection, but they must not put a private sector man in the National Resource Fund because they're close to the government. But isn't the other guy, Vincent Adams, close to the opposition? Now, if you look at the role of Starbuck News, they have the role of Retred, these women organizations. You are seeing you're seeing the map of rejection of the results of the 2020 elections. You're seeing the turning a blind eye to conspiratorial call for violence. Sorry, this is a long diversion, but the question is, you asked me about Monrepo. I was surprised at September Cotton Tree when Indians were beaten, their property burns, their car burned and overturned. When Monrepo came, because of Cotton Tree in September. I wasn't surprised. We're going to see more of it. You know why we're going to see more of it, Mikhail? And that is the dangerous emergence of Guyanese society. Mikhail, people look at Sherrod Duncan and it's people look at David Hines and but those antics, those melodrama, theatrics do not have the kind of penetration and influence than a Starbook editorial, than something written by Dr. Alisa Trotz. And that is what is dangerous. Starbook News has columnists, women organizations have important voices. And those are the people that are carrying a line of ethnic divide. You read something, Mikhail, in the mainstream media like Starbook News, and people criticizing you that you never in a wildest imagination said that. A Starbook News columnist said she went into the Kissoon store and people were not paying attention to her, came out and wrote a column, I was a victim of racism. You know what that could have done to that store? The people are not related to me. That's a store that's 85 years old in Guyana, in which people patronize. The co-owner of the store is a black guy, Skip Roberts' nephew. The supervisor was a black woman. Now, we look at Sherrod Duncan and we look at David Hines, but it's those subtle things from the mainstream media, from these middle class people that are pushing the fire of ethnic consciousness. To finally answer your question, Monrepo, if Monrepo could have prevented Aubrey Norton, the PNC, AGDA, and the AFC could have prevented it. You put stewards in those march, and the stewards are in front, and the stewards are in the middle, and they're walking in the road, and when people start to use ethnic stuff, and cause they say, no, don't do that. But there was an intention. There was an intention because along the way from Golden Grove, they weren't troubling anybody. Indian men were driving, Indian women were driving, nobody pelted their cars. But there was a concentration of Indian people in Monrepo because there was a market there. From Golden Grove, you didn't have no market. You have a few sellers by Lusignam. So the intention was to go there. The intention was to go to Monrepo. If the PPB wanted to infiltrate, as David Hines and G.K.H. Lal and those people were saying, why you didn't get argent provocateurs to pelt people car and let them run off the road at Vigilance, at Buxton, elsewhere? Why you waited from Golden Grove to Monrepo? Why? Because there was a concentration of Indian people there. Thus the unleashing of the attack. I am not a doctor or a priest to tell people, okay, that wouldn't happen again. I think it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again because we are not confronting the rhetoric, the demagoguery, the complex conspiratorial inciting that are coming from quarters of Guyana that we don't want to accept are doing these things. We're looking at Sherrod Duncan, Mikhail, we're looking at David Hines, and we're saying, yeah, they're gone again. But those people don't have the influence on people's mind as the mainstream middle class and what have you. It's going to happen again. And I hope with your platform, what we will be doing, we can offer some avenue of confronting this dangerous rhetoric.
You could say you have heard it here, and that is just a bit. When you ask, and I say Uncle Freddie, because this is how I refer to him all the time. When you ask Uncle Freddie, give me your take.
Please refer to me as Freddie.
Freddie, yeah, Freddie. You are Uncle. So, when you ask Freddie to give its take, the analysis comes with a level of background. a unique perspective, but not one like I would give. This is not sentiment. This is a man who has lived through many cases and look at these issues. This is him relaying to you. And I can tell you, you could go back to Freddie Kissoon's history. Over the years, Freddie Kissoon has confronted many governments, confronted many oppositions, confronted many persons. There are umpteen articles that Freddie Kissoon would have wrote that has gone up against everybody across the board. Freddie Kissoon has seen the brunt of an attack from a past PPP administration. The question is, and as it roll out and people can see now, is that Freddie Kissoon understands the importance of the facts being laid straight and clear in front of the people for them to understand, to ensure this country does not end up in a catastrophic situation. Because he's saying, from the looks of it, I have not experienced the 60s. I have not had a first-hand experience. I've had, to some extent, first-hand experience of the 2000 Buxton situation. But there would have been there's a lot of experience here that you're going to be getting from the analysis of Freddie Kissoon and Leonard Gildarie on current affairs. So you guys got to be looking out for that program on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm hoping it could be every evening, but we're going to be running the ads as to the timing and all the details of what the discussions are going to be mainly about. Because, you know, I ain't got nothing structured, but Freddie and Gildarie are going to have something very structured for you, but you just got a taste of what it's like hearing from Freddie Kissoon. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and if there's anything you guys want to leave with the viewers, you can do so.
Thank you very much, there, Mikhail. I just want to jump in a little on Freddie there. That situation in the East Coast is something that deeply worried me. I saw the way that the media operated, and I realized, you know, we're not in a very good place. I saw the reaction, or the not so much of a reaction from the police force. It raises issues as to what is the role of the army, what is the role of the police. These are deep discussions that we're going to have to ask, because as we go forward as a country, if our army, what are we paying thousands of soldiers to do? Sit in the barracks? If the police, we have to look at the roles of those. So what are they doing? When you see them stand at BV there, and you see at one point in time along these coasts there, the people are advancing and the police retreating, and you saw that so many parts along these coasts. So how fast do you react if you have a SWAT team, if you have the police team? I think I did see President Irfan or someone of the leaders talking. Had they taken some other decisions to confront the situation, the outcome might not have been so very good for Guyana, and maybe it turned out the way it is. But how do you comfort the people?
It was the president.
Yeah. How do you comfort?
The fact remains, Leonard, the rule of law is the rule of law.
Right.
Whatever the outcomes are, they should be because here, what's the outcome of criminality? The run and the thief, you understand? Somebody could have died accidentally. A lady could have fallen with a heart attack when they burn up her bus. So it's not me to decide. We are guided. There's a constitution. There's a constitution that guides the laws. The laws are created. The people should follow the laws of the land. The police should enforce them. So it's not me, and it was the president who said it. But I am saying, it is not the president to decide we should take it light or we shouldn't take it light. The police have standard operational procedures. And moreover, when you understand that some people, all their intent is criminal, right? Because they never really had a protest that is end peaceful. 5 in 10, this end with somebody getting hurt or something getting looted. So the police has to know, they got the background more than anybody else, when to address these things, how to address these things. It's not the politicians to decide. That's my opinion. It's not the politicians, oh, it could have ended up worse. No, no, no. The people are in Mondrepo Market thinking there's a Guyana police force that exists to protect us. And we are okay. Only to see the police standing a distance away while they're robbed, brutalized, and beaten.
Well, that's the whole issue, and that's what I'm saying. That you need to start bringing these things. Freddie's quite right in his analysis, in that going forward, let's say we saw what happened in West Berbice when those two guys were killed, and what happened there. An entire road is blocked up. Commerce is ended right there for days. People are scared. Every time I pass through West Berbice, it's on roads that have been damaged. I don't think they fixed it as yet, but the memories are there because people who passed through there, I know people who were robbed, beaten. They went through Backstreet. People were waiting for them. Now you see another protest. I'm sure, and I said that last week, the family of Mr. Quindon Bacchus, who was killed. That family, I don't believe in with all due respect that they would have wanted something like that. I believe that they had a genuine concern. They wanted justice because of what they heard, what they learned, whether it was true or not. They wanted the justice, so they started off something. Now the question is, did somebody or persons infiltrate that? We'd have to analyze and see what happened there. I heard Freddie said or spoke about the middle class. I believe it's not a middle class. I might disagree with you there, Freddie. I believe it's just a few people. We could count them on our hands who's standing up there in front of the cameras and talking. 3 people, 4 persons who were just standing there telling the people what to do, and we allow that to happen, to be leading the masses, or
Misleading the masses.
Misleading, that's a good word. How do we allow these kind of things? If you look at boxing is a scam. The people are not going to be fooled. They're not stupid people. They're not going to stand there and allow these things to continue. It's not a middle class thing. I believe it's more as just a couple of people, maybe politically inclined in one way or the other, and they have the agenda, and they're grinding it, and they're putting the people up that maybe they put a few persons. But if you see how that thing evolved, it raises security issues. It raises concerns about the maturity of our leaders, so-called leaders, some of them. It raises the role of the media and how they operate. We could talk about this, but there are other issues, and this is where we are going to be talking. It is not. It's not just about getting the likes, like I said before. If we don't wake up and start smelling the coffee, we're going to have people run away with our wealth. We're going to have a country where the regulatory bodies and the security forces and everybody doing the same thing. I saw 2 things that really had me worried the other day. There was 2 stories. One of it overseas, a lady was taking exams, driver's license exams, for about hundreds of persons in I think a European country. And then my thoughts rushed again. A couple of GRS staffers were charged and placed before the courts, and started me thinking, how many people are driving out there? How many minibus drivers, hire car drivers, private car drivers are out there driving with license that they haven't gone through the necessary checks and balances for? How do we deal with things like that? So our country, you walk into a government office, and how much hands that you've been pushed to grease, because if you don't do that, they sit down, they file the nails, they're on the phone, or they just don't look at you. This is a kind of culture that we got to change. Let's start taking it head on and start calling it for what it is. We got to stop talking about the laughing thing and understand who's the enemy here. We got to start looking. You look at Trinidad, you could talk what you want about Trinidad when it comes to understanding what's that they want, what's the agenda that they have, what are the objectives that they want when they come together. They want. We have our people here divided, while we have billions of dollars that's sitting there in oil and our other natural resources. Who's the enemy here? Need to have You need to put these things on the table and have the kind of discussion that's going to lift this country. I think we're too bright of people. We have many people here, very brilliant. They could, if the banks start looking at it and start opening up the ways than being the conservative folks that they are, lowering interest rate. You see what America does every time the inflation goes up, they adjust the interest rate. And these are the kind of things that our banks, you can see the way the banks operate. You go into a bank right now, it's 12 to 18% of interest. Impossible if you're going to be taking a loan. How are you going to survive, my brother? If your returns are going to be 10, 15% on whatever it is that you're doing. So the banks got to start thinking, and we got to take all these situations here and bring it and have the discussion. And that is what we're doing here. It's not about the likes. It's about getting out there, doing the work, holding the government accountable, holding the opposition accountable, holding the police force accountable, and all in sundry. It's as simple as that.
Anything you want to leave with the people, Freddie?
Well, there are some grayish dimensions in Leonard's delivery that needs clarification.
Please do.
When I refer to the middle class, I'm not talking about a specific incident in Monrepo. I'm talking about the contribution of people to the expansion of the problem, Guyana's racial ethnic problem, who should have a philosophical moral obligation to side with humanity and to side with right against wrong. And the very people that Leonard talked about, there were 4 or 5 of them inciting. Yes, it's those kind of people that go on the road and incite. But they take their cue from their leaders. And their leaders know that there are expressions and dimensions and nuances and strata in society that are going to remain silent. You know, I think it's Gandhi, Martin Luther King, so many greats that have gone by have said it. Silence is extremely dangerous. It's extremely dangerous because silence carries no action. Silence is a static existence of something in time and space. Therefore, it has no movement. When you are silent about a depravity, when you're silent about an evil, there is no countering to the people who are perpetuating the evil. So the people who are perpetuating the evil do not see someone confronting them or someone coming to them. No one is in the corridor, so they have the corridor for themselves. And the people who stood up in Monrepo and harassed or inciting, it's their leaders who have shaped that kind of action. And those leaders know that there are large dimensions in Guyanese society, not fringe elements, not a few elements. They're very important sections of this society that have either remained silent, Mikhail Rodriguez, on what was going on March 2020, silent on what went on in Cotton Tree in 2020, and if we didn't bang away from 2020, Mikhail Rodriguez, if we didn't bang away at this hypocrisy, at this convenient silence, we would not have had Retread saying something. We would not have had a column, a weekly column in the Starbucks News called In the Diaspora. You check, I did the research, Mikhail Rodriguez. I went through every letter in the 4 dailies to find what Retread, what Guyana Human Rights Association said about Whig elections, said about 34 being a majority of a 65-member parliament. Nothing. And we constantly bang away at this hypocrisy, at this subtle encouragement through silence of what is going on. So Leonard, you're going to have tomorrow those 5 people in the road saying, yeah, go after them, yeah, take the thing. But those 5 people have been shaped by their leaders, and their leaders have been shaped by the silence or the invisible conspiracy of these credible sections of society. Mikhail, I will end this program by saying I pay little attention because I know of the lack of effect of someone like Sherrod Duncan. Sherrod Duncan come on his program. You see the little girl he got? And nobody pays attention to that. He is now getting personal into some big one has a little girl. Like how we say the High Commissioner during the period of the election rigging, the High Commissioner had, you know what? That is not the people who are going to shape how people see the society politically and ethnically. It's the credible groups. It's the groups that you don't expect to say those things that will say those things.
Or groups that people see as credible. Because you can't be credible if you're silent, you're supposed to talk.
Listen, I couldn't put it over better than that. Shake my hand.
Something they agree with. All right.
Oh, critic and I, long before he became a critic and a famous personality, we used to agree on many things.
Yeah.
I think we were on the Seawall at night, a couple of us, and we had a big argument.
Big argument. We argue one time.
Then we argue by Jericho. We had
wrong and wrong. We walking a big argument, and everybody's watching and calculating like, what's wrong with these guys? Walking wrong and wrong around Parliament, coming wrong right away, arguing, big argument.
He always had this little thing in him. It's logically became what.
But
he
you're
is.
talking about the
He always
Seawall
had this
thing.
little put.
You're talking about the Seawall thing. You should ask him how the Guyanese critic with the hammer and everything and what role I played with that. And sometimes I wonder whether when I see him doing all those chapters or whatever it is with the bikes and things like that he does, I see you fell on the head.
But do you know of all...
Hold on, man, you're talking too much. You spoke a lot. Calm yourself down a little. I saw you fell on the head. Are you okay?
A man of fighting. Yeah, I'm okay. I had on my helmet.
You had on the helmet.
No, I was incepted to say something. I have his Achilles heel. He made a terrible mistake that no one in the government, no one in society, only 3 people know about it. But I'm not going to repeat it. If you want me to repeat it,
That's
you know
blackmail, right? That's
you know
blackmail.
about it, and Jerry Gavaya know about it, and me. A big mistake he made, and that's a secret I have for him. Now, if he wants me to reveal it, because he's a guy he don't care, and I agree
Well,
with
here
you.
what we
Don't
gonna
care
do. We're
what
gonna
people
keep it
say.
on him.
You want me to
Somebody
reveal,
said-
you want me to
All right.
reveal his secret?
Are you in the government sphere?
You want me to reveal
Come,
his
come, come,
secret?
come. Hold on, man. Calm yourself.
I try to figure out.
What secret is that?
Let me-
You're fine. Look,
You want me
look,
to
look.
Let me for next
You want me
program.
to surprise the guy?
Left it for next program. Left it for next program.
You want me to surprise?
When we want your
Listen,
ratings go up,
you have a lot of ratings, thousands of people follow you. I am sure they didn't know this mistake you made.
Tell me.
Tell you now?
Tell me.
Or you want to leave for another program?
Me and no, you tell me, bye.
Freddie
And
has
here,
something-
I
what
have a
you're
secret.
seeing
I have
here,
a secret for you.
what you're experiencing here, this is Freddie Kissoon. This ain't no, the man don't pull no punches. This is
have a
Freddie
secret for you.
Kissoon. Huh?
I have a secret for you.
All right.
Freddie is gonna hang that over your head.
You could
One time I
when
thought-
it came out, you could say, I know you have one excuse. And when you give that excuse, it would be understood by the entire viewership in and out of Guyana. You were pretty young then, so you wouldn't have known that.
Let me tell you a little about Freddie. I would have conversation with Freddie. I'm a Kite News, right? And about 4 months later, all of a sudden somebody called, you're in Freddie Kissoon. Freddie remember that conversation. And,
Freddie doesn't forget anything.
Yeah, he
The
replicates it
thing,
4 months
moreover,
later.
when you guys told me
I'm
about
going to
this
tell
program,
you the secret
uh-huh.
personally, and then you tell me if you want me to go on air.
Right.
Y'all took a visitor.
So here now, the reason I jumped at the opportunity, like, you know, I had discussion with someone, and the person saying, Freddie, how you're going to edit? I say, here, I have made many mistakes, but having Freddie give his opinion would never be one of my mistakes because of the fact I have fudged up many times. I know Freddie ain't gonna fudge up. It's intrinsic in him. It's like in his DNA to put this thing out there. You understand? And I hold the position of being the realest thing in Guyana. I just put it out there. But Freddie, I know, turning me back, I could left the studio and say, Freddie, just deal with this. And I know what's gonna happen. Because his mind would explode if Freddie tried a David Hines, a Sherrod Duncan. If he tried her, his mind would explode. I'm telling you right here, you would drop down dead.
I have no idea what you're talking
I
about.
mean, like, them banners lie. Them banners talk with, here was them banner game. Them banner got game display. So you just look into the camera with confidence. You understand? The illiterate, it's not hard to convince them. You don't have to go into details to convince the illiterate. All you do is stand up in front of the camera, sir, with confidence and say, yes, That did not happen. And there's a video there showing the people robbing people at Montreal. And then Banner go out and say, no, it's the PPP incite people to do that. Aubrey Norton held a press conference, confident reading, I would like the government also to reimburse the vendors for the drinks the police drank out. Even proper pronunciation. Whole load of bullshit. But you just gotta look confident and then please believe. Just look into your face. Because they understand what you're saying. But if they look at you and you're laughing, like me, I'd be rolling with laugh and I telling you the truth. But I roll with laugh because I can't help myself. So when I say you wouldn't do a Freddie a David Hines or so, you would not sit here and lie to anybody for no reason. And again, if you want to know Freddie Kissoon, you gotta go back to Freddie Kissoon columns, you gotta go back to his history, and you have to go back to his experience with the same people now we stand with or stand for and talk about democracy. He had the brunt of them too. Google Freddie Kissoon, PPP. Google the PPP versus Freddie Kissoon or something. Me ain't gonna tell you, you go and Google it. So now to come and speak is just that he knows this was a past time, this happened, but this is what wrong and right is about now. So that is what you guys can expect. This is just a basic sneak peek. When them banner let loose on the Kissoon and Gildarie show, you will get the best of knowledge. And I can tell you, I 100% endorse this.
But we can't leave before this secret thing. So I'll tell you.
You're telling me after and then we attack. But we live now, you can't.
No, I'm going to tell you off the air. And then you will tell me the next time we're together, yeah, you could say it, you could say it. Right? You don't want me to say it now.
This kind of body thing, you know, it's something. But Freddie would discuss it on here and then.
This here, you got to tune in. If I tell you to say it, if he tell me, because I can't imagine what secret Freddie can
No, it's a bad, terrible secret, but it's excusable.
But here now, you got to watch Freddie Kissoon program Monday come to get the secret. So yeah, I'll take care. Peace out.
Peace out.